Raw, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry if I'm going to sound a little hoarse a little bit. I've been having some sore throat problems due to my apartment being cold as hell. Fortunately, it happens in New York at this time of year. But let's get into this Raw. I'm going to say this for this Raw. Since it's the last Raw before Hell in a Cell, I haven't had a lot of interest going into it. I mean, some things perked me up. Last week I wasn't sure, but I'm going to be honest here. I actually did enjoy this Raw. Good sections of it really interest me. To the point now I'm actually interested in looking at this Hell in a Cell to see how it's going to go down. Let's go to the first match, which I really feel wasn't necessary. Really, it wasn't. That is The Miz and the Dust Brothers versus the Usos and Sheamus. Now, understand, it's good to put Sheamus against The Miz because the US Championship is going to be up for contention, I believe, at Hell in a Cell. And I'm cool with that. I really didn't care that much about this match, but the person that was spotlighted the most here was Damien Sandow. Damien Mizdow, the most important person in the entire situation here. I was not enjoying Damien's work before. I just wasn't. I'm actually enjoying him being the Miz's stunt double for the simple reason that I can see a more distant goal here. And that's to get Damien Sandow over, which should have been done years ago. Should have been done at least 2 or 3 years ago. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel about it. And it was Damien Sandow who wins here. Mizdow wins. So it's good to see he is the one that got spotlighted here. Going into Hell in a Cell, and I believe that there's going to be a match between The Miz and Sheamus. This is going to help Damien get over. And finally, we'll get a Damien Sandow face turn that we've been desperately needing. And let's hope that the WWE will actually push him correctly. Now that kind of puts me into the next thing I want to talk about. Not a match yet. Still seeing these promos from the Wyatts and the cameo from Bray Wyatt. If this is adding an extra person into this, now I have a kind of idea that they're going to do a Sister Abigail type of person. It's coming. I think Sister Abigail is coming. This is just me. You guys can tell me below. And the person that might be would be Ric Flair's daughter. You guys can tell me if that makes no sense whatsoever. But I believe Ric Flair's daughter, who's been working in NXT, is going to be brought up as Sister Abigail. That's just my thought about it. But you guys tell me below if you're interested in knowing that a Sister Abigail is going to be appearing to really make the Wyatts re-solidify themselves. Or it's just going to still be as we think it is. It's going to be basically Bray pushing Luke and Eric when he should be pushing Bray Wyatt now. And then Luke and then Eric will be elevated with him. Now, I'm going to the Divas matches now. I really didn't care about AJ and Alicia Fox match. I love Alicia Fox. I think she's a gorgeous woman. I've loved her for quite a while. But I didn't really care about this match. I love me some Paige. She's some cute little English crumpet. But I didn't care about Paige. And AJ is a nerdy girl that should go back to the nerdy kind of stuff than acting crazy. I wasn't interested in this. You know why? Because you got a triple threat of crazy here. This made no damn sense. We've had AJ going up against Paige, Paige going up against AJ, AJ going up against Paige, trying to out-crazy one another. Then Paige deals with Alicia Fox, who's supposedly a better crazy than them. And that's how I feel. Right now, the only crazy one that looks the best is Alicia Fox. And that's saying a lot about Alicia. She's not one of the greatest faces or heels. She's only been used when they need her. She jumps back and forth. But she's better crazy than both of them are. And this is where this falls on his face. It makes no damn sense why they're doing this. They should go away from this and do an entirely different angle. Now we go to Brie Bella versus a Summer Rae. And then they decide in passing to say, well, you know what? Brie and Nikki are going to have that match. And whoever wins it is going to be the lackey of the other for the next 30 days. If they don't do it, they're permanently rejected from WWE and can never come back. You know what would have been better? A simple, tiny little fight between these two in the back. Could have been short with a Stephanie McMahon there. She says, you know what? I'm sick of this. One goes against the other at Hell in a Cell. Then Nikki says, you know what? I want to have a match where one of us has to be the servant of the other. And if you don't do it, you're gone. And the other agrees. And it's done. That would have been a better way to do this than doing it in passing and trying to solidify a Brie Bella's ability to kick ass in the ring. I'm sorry. I will always say this, and I mean this with total respect to anyone who's a wrestling fan and to a wrestler who watches this. You go in that ring and you perform. I respect the fuck out of you. You know why? It takes a certain attitude to get into that ring and know that even if it's scripted or if it's actually allowed to really do a real wrestling match, you can get hurt in there. I respect you for that. But in this respect, when it comes to your character, it comes to your actual acting skill and how you get the people to believe in you and to get behind you or to hate you and want to basically boo you, I take an offense to it. I will take you to task to it if you suck either way. And both Bellas suck. I respect them as wrestlers for getting in that ring, but they both suck. But if you're going to still promote this stupidness between them, at least do it in a way that it'll make sense storyline wise. And I'm sure some of the people below are going to say, dude, who gives a fuck about them? We don't want to see it anyway. You may not want to see it, but it is promoted. And they went to the wall for these women, and then they dropped the shit because they knew it was going to suck. But if you're going to be like that as a promotion, at least set it up properly so when it's finally over, it's over properly. By making it sloppy, makes it even worse. Not for the women who are doing it, who have the ability or not. It's because the promotion, if it doesn't do it right, is stupid. I'm just saying it like that. Now, the 1 hour main event. I'm doing this now because it's important to get it done. When it comes to a Foley, a Randy, and a John Cena, Randy Keith Orton, and Paul Heyman. I'm going to say this honestly. That was actually a very effective segment at the 1 hour main event. It actually was at about 9 o'clock here in New York. It was quite surprising that this time around, their promos towards one another was a little better than normal. They don't usually have good promos together. Let's be honest, these guys couldn't do a good promo if you begged them and give them $1,000. Normally, they go for $10,000. But in this situation with the Kansas City crowd behind it and getting into the Royals, and you know what? I haven't really been watching baseball lately. The Kansas City Royals are in the playoffs, in the World Series. That is a long time coming. But you know what? It was an effective segment. For John speaking, I believe Randy Orton did a better segment than normal. John added to it. And then Paul Heyman tied it all together. And what made it work very well is Randy RKOing everybody. Because you know how things are going with Divines with his viral video. Him RKOing people wasn't too bad in this respect. Now, I would agree with the Sleg Daddy if he starts RKOing people just for no apparent reason, actually would be much better for him. But in this situation, actually was pretty good. Now, the next thing I did like, Rusev Maska, and his fight against Biggie Langston I didn't care about because they had it before and Biggie's always jobbed to him. It was what happened after the match. I'm kind of botching because this is actually very good. You got the American flag being dropped when the Russian flag not being dropped. And the Big Show going, That was pretty damn good. I was actually very impressed with that. What really made it go over the top And I checked to see if this was an actual serviceman or not, because it doesn't seem to be. At least from what I've been able to check around. You guys can tell me below if it was an actual serviceman that looks like he was in the army. But let's be honest here. Seeing someone jump over the rail and go into the ring usually is scripted. We know this. Doesn't mean it doesn't always happen unscripted. That means someone really jumps over the rail that we don't expect. But honestly, in this respect, it was actually good they did this. Because when we did the reverse, and it was an American pulling down the Russian flag, we got hell all over us, and that was the international community. And we knuckled under, the WWE knuckled under, and the Big Show being forced by the WWE knuckle under, which was a bad move. This is a promotion that does entertainment. We do things like that. We poke little fun at people. We did it with Barack Obama. We done it with Vladimir Putin. We didn't have to answer to nobody. That's what they should have done, but they didn't. But in this respect, having a fake serviceman, if he was fake, and I hope he was, if he wasn't, that wasn't good. That was not good. That makes things even better and worse for us. For Rusev, he got instant total heat. Really good heat. For the Big Show, he got instant total face and pops. People were angry in Kansas City that happened. And it was great. I'm going to admit something though. I was not happy last week that The Rock didn't reappear. I was not happy that the Big Show was having his rivalry now. After you bring The Rock out. Because you tease The Rock is going to deal with Rusev, but you throw the Big Show on top of that, and then Mark Henry messing up the match made it even worse. Knocking out the Rusev after he wins his match by basically DQ didn't sit well with me. I'm not saying it wasn't badly done. It just didn't sit well with me. But when it came to this, I have to say this. If The Rock is going to deal with Rusev later in the year, that was good what he did. Just to show the people I will be back. Like an Arnold Schwarzenegger. But in this respect, it was so well done. If this was a real serviceman, which really made it very timely. I don't think it was. I think it was fake. It was done so well. I am very interested in seeing the Rusev get his teeth knocked down his throat by an RKO of the Big Show. A TKO, but I'm going to say RKO. You know why? I'm going to say a real KO punch. I want to see him knock the living shit out of him. Not a fake punch. A real one where you can see the man's head truly get snapped back and he ends up on the floor. And the Lana goes, no! And someone smacks her on her fucking ass saying, shut up, bitch. That's what I want to see at Hell in a Cell. So I really did enjoy it. Another match that I really didn't care that much about, but is understood as being set up, is Dolph versus Cesaro. Now, just like The Miz dealing with... Sorry. Oh, when you don't feel well, you lose your train of thought. Just like The Miz dealing with Sheamus, seeing Dolph dealing with Cesaro isn't 100% bad, but in this problem... the problem I have is that there's no real promotion here. You don't give them any ring time. There's barely any back segments. With The Miz, at least, he has Damian, which is really setting up for Damian. Here, this is something average. And it was a good match. And there's a very good chance that Cesaro is going to win over Dolph. Which, if they do something with... Well, if you do something with Antonio, will actually be cool, but it still feels average. Finally, let me see if I'm forgetting anything. I want to make sure I don't forget. Finally, the last match I'm going to talk about before the real thing I want to talk about were the 2 out of 3 handicap street fight match at the end of the show. You guys tell me. I wasn't too confident this was going to go down well. Particularly what happened at the 2-hour main event. And I will get to in a minute. But why in the blue fuck did you turn a 2-on-3 handicap street fight match into a 2-on-3 tag team match that you just added stuff into. They didn't state it in commentary. I didn't hear them say it. They should have just had to fight, stay mainly out of the ring, beat the living shit out of each other, and that would have been fine. But them actually making it into a tag match really made no fucking sense. Then you bring down the Hell in a Cell, which I feel was a little premature. It's like blowing your wad. Seeing how Dean is going to react in the ring, seeing how Seth is going to react in the ring, seeing how Cena and Orton's going to act in the ring with a cane really wasn't what I wanted to see right now. I wanted to see the payoff at Hell in a Cell. This is just me personally. It would have been better to see this at Hell in a Cell. Not now. Even though it was a Orton who gets the pin. And then a Seth Rollins who curb stomped his ass. Which we've been thinking, well, Orton's going to turn face. This probably will reciprocate him turning him face. As we hope he wouldn't, but he is. And then Seth Rollins is on top of the ring. Was it executed well? No. Seeing Seth on top of the ring wasn't bad. But was this executed well? For me personally, I did not like it seeing this as a tag match that brought the Hell in a Cell into the match. Even with the Kansas City fans jizzing on themselves for it, I really felt it wasn't the wisest thing to do. I don't believe so. Finally, the one thing you want to talk about. The 2-hour main event. And that was Dean and Seth with Mick Foley. I'm going to say this. I'm glad to see Mick Foley back. And I'm going to be doing Debate of the Week on Mick Foley after this. I am very glad they did this. This was a highlight of the show for me personally. I thought what happened with the Serviceman and Rusev and Big Show really got me hyped for the pay-per-view. This did. Seeing that they were willing to bring out a Mick Foley who really understands better than anyone the true destruction of this Hell in a Cell. And I understand what happened with Triple H in the beginning of the show. And him talking about the Hell in a Cell and what he did for Randy Orton and all that kind of crap. This was what really made the show for me. That he put over Seth and Dean. And he let them understand and let the crowd understand that this is incredibly important. That whoever goes into this cell will never be the same again. No matter if you continue a rivalry or not, you will be defined by this match. And Dean being the one put over the most in this, with Joey Mercury and Jamie Noble at the end of it, where you get to see Seth Rollins as a doll in the very beginning of it. I'm not going to describe it, but you know what I mean. This entire thing was executed very well, and I felt the person who shined for the entire show was Dean Ambrose, even though it was Seth Rollins who was on the Hell in a Cell. Now my question is to you, do you believe this was an effective go-home show to Raw? For me personally, I believe it was. Seeing Rusev kick that guy in the face who was a fake serviceman was very good. Mick Foley made the entire show for me, and Dean Ambrose was the one the most spotlighted here. And I am very interested in seeing how Hell in a Cell is going to go over. Really, I am. So I hope you enjoyed the Zane View. Please give me a comment below. Give me a comment on what you think about what happened with Mick Foley. And I hope you have a good day and have a good night. Peace out!